Hi, welcome. I'm Jasmine, your counselor.
Hi, Jasmine.
So what is your name?
Madura.
Okay. And so, have you ever been to counseling before?
No.
No?
Yeah.
So you would say this is your first time?
Yep.
Okay, so just before we get started, just consider this a safe place, everything you do say is confidential until I feel that either you or someone else is at harm due to actions, words, anything, just as judgment. We only tell you this as a disclaimer, but then also remember this is, again, a safe place. Everything's confidential. So whatever's on your mind, you can speak to me.
Okay.
So before we start, I just want to ask, I want to get to know you a little bit, so you can just give me a little background information about you. Just some important things that you feel would help you in the sessions. Anything relevant. So yeah, you can tell me whatever you want.
Okay, right now I go to the University of Waterloo and I'm in political science and business.
Okay, cool.
And I'm minoring in HR.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I live with my roommates.
Mm-hmm.
And back home I live with my mom, my dad, my grandma, my sister, and my dog, Rambo. And what else? I'm actually in the co-op program, so I'll be on co-op next term.
Okay, that's fun.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
That's it? That's Madura?
Yeah,
that's
Madura.
Good. Alright, so why have you come here to me, as this is your first counseling session? What prompted you to come to counseling? And, what did you want to talk about today? Like I said, anything on the table. So whenever this is your time.
I guess the main thing that prompted me to come here today is to talk about my biggest regret that I guess I've been holding on to for more than 6 years.
Okay.
So I think that's the biggest thing that I want to talk about.
Okay, so let's get started with that. So wherever you wanted to start off.
Okay, so let's see. Sorry, it's kind of hard for me to talk about.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
So my mom, she has a brother.
Yep.
Which is also my grandma's son.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually lives in Denmark. Lived in Denmark. He lived in Denmark, and he had a family there. So he had a wife and 2 kids, 2 to 3 kids, and so he had a family there. And my grandma would always be so sad that she wouldn't be able to go visit him, or he wouldn't come down to visit us. But it was actually the fact that he would never actually make it onto the plane because he was so intoxicated because he had an alcohol problem, drinking problem.
Okay.
So he was actually an alcoholic, and he would never make it onto the plane, or the officers would just say, no, you can't get on, you're intoxicated. So yeah.
Were there several events that happened like this, or was it just a one-time thing?
Yeah, it happened 2 or 3 times this happened, and we would find out because his friend, not his friend, he went to rehab, so his mentor, I would say, would contact us and tell us
about the situation,
because we would wonder, right, why didn't he come, and why didn't he get on the plane, where is he, we would be so concerned because we would never get any messages from him.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that happened, so he would never actually get onto the plane, so that was very concerning.
How old were you when this all happened?
Whatever age I was when I was in grade 4, I would say.
Okay, so around 8?
8, yeah.
Around 8?
Around 8, yeah.
Okay, and would it be confusing for you when your mom or grandma tell you your uncle's coming down, and then all of a sudden he wouldn't be there when he was supposed to?
Yeah, it would be so confusing, and I guess the worst part was that, I was so young, so I guess they didn't want to disclose that kind of information to me. I'm not too sure if my sister knew, but they definitely didn't want to tell me.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like they just didn't want me to have that image of my uncle.
Yeah, for sure. Did you know he was an alcoholic at that age, or
no?
Were you told something else?
I was told something else. I was just he didn't make it. He was he had business plans, or he was doing something else. So it was just all those excuses that I'm now putting it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, he lived in Denmark, so it was really hard for my grandma and him to actually have the opportunity to
contact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, to interact with each other. So that was really difficult on my grandma and him as well. So I mentioned, right, he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
So him and his wife, they didn't have the best relationship, and she never wanted him to be around the kids because he was always drunk, or like he was always like.
He was seen as a danger in a way?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. He was seen as a danger. Like, I guess, like, she really just didn't want the kids to be exposed to that kind of behavior. Because I guess he did, like, although I love my uncle, I guess he did cause, like, trouble at home. Like, you know, I can only imagine. So they didn't have the best relationship, and then she actually ended up kicking him out of the house. And it would be back and forth, like, you know, like, she would kick him out, and then he would come back, and then something would happen, and she would kick him out again, and then something else would happen, and blah, blah, blah. And then, so it ended up he ended up just leaving the house and living with that friend that I mentioned earlier.
Mentor?
The mentor.
Okay.
So he ended up just living with him, and, yeah, he was still an alcoholic, and he barely saw his kids, because, like, she would put, like, really strict rules on when you can see
boundaries.
the kids. Yeah. Boundaries.
Okay.
So she would really put boundaries on when you should see the kids, and like when is it appropriate for you to see the kids, and you can only see the kids from like this time to this time. So she was really strict.
Okay.
Right? And it was hard because even though they weren't divorced at this time, like she was still seeing other people, which like I guess prompted him to drink more and like cause more ruckus. So obviously they didn't have their best relationship.
But did you have any other family in Denmark, or were you guys the only family here that he had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So there's no one back in Denmark to like.
No.
Oh really?
No.
Okay.
Like we have family. Like my grandma has her sister, and she lives in Paris.
Okay.
I mean that's kind of close, but not really.
But it's not like
we don't.
You could just pick up and go. Okay.
No. Yeah. Like we don't have family there. We just knew his friend really well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually pretty sad. He didn't have, and so yeah, at this point he lived by himself with his friend, and as I mentioned, he was an alcoholic. So one day he was drunk, and he was walking down the stairs, and he fell on his head, and like he just passed away then and there.
Just then and there.
Yeah, and. It sucks because he was home alone. If someone was there, then someone could have helped him. And the most tragic part about this whole death is that they could have been prevented. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it just could have been prevented. Like, that's just the most tragic part of this whole situation.
And when you guys found out about his passing, how did everyone react at home? Like, how was it? How bad did it affect the household?
Oh man, like it was terrible. Like I still remember, like we were sitting on the sofa. So me, my grandma, my sister, my mom, we're all sitting on the sofa, and then we get a call. And then my sister goes, picks up the phone, and she picks up the phone. I don't know what exactly the person on the other end said to my sister, and I don't remember what my sister said back. But I just remember my sister being so shocked. She was so shocked. And then she gives the phone to my grandma, and then my grandma, she just starts crying. Like she wouldn't stop crying, and like she just couldn't believe it. She was just so shocked because she planned to go to Denmark this week, and this all happened within that week, right?
Yeah.
Like she planned to go, and then like all this events, like he passed away like later in that week. So yeah, she had to go to Denmark, but not to
the reasons she wanted to.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then so that happened, and she was just so sad. The family came over, and then they're just trying to support her, but like she just kept crying.
Yeah.
Like she was just so upset.
And at that time, do you remember how you felt at that time?
Yeah, like I was crying, but then all I remember my sister was saying to me like, "Go clean the house."
Yeah.
Yeah, because people were gonna come over.
Yeah.
And like.
Did that make you feel?
Like, it made me feel very angry.
Yeah.
Actually. I was so upset. Like I'm like, how can you not be considerate towards my grandma, like our grandma actually, like how can you not be considerate? Like that's literally what she told me. She's like, oh, go clean the house. I'm like,
would you consider yourself really close to your grandmother?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I love my grandma. She is like my backbone.
Yeah,
I can't.
So seeing her in that state was just not okay. You kind of wanted to be there.
Exactly, and like I was just so worried like that she wasn't being considered towards my grandma, and that was just like kind of.
So like I'm just gonna like try. So basically, you had an uncle in Denmark.
Yeah.
Not the greatest relationship, family-wise. spouse-wise, was an alcoholic. You guys tried being in contact, but it was rocky, I would say. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Okay, it was rocky. And then his passing was kind of just like out of all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right? As if like it wasn't expected. It was just like you didn't feel like it's like as if you guys had hope for him, like it'll get better, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I guess why I'm here, as I mentioned before, I was talking about my biggest regret.
Yeah.
So since he passed away, obviously there was a funeral. So the funeral was in Denmark, and I still remember my mom asking me, like, "Do you want to come? Like, do you want to come to Denmark with me?" And my 8-year-old self said no, and I guess the reason why I said no because my mom gave me the option, like, oh, you cannot come with me, and you can stay with your cousins and go to school with them, because my cousins went to the same middle school and whatever, like it'd be easier for me to go to school with them because no one was home and whatever. So that idea, staying with my cousins, was more appealing to me at that age.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the funeral and being there for my mom. So yeah, I would say that's my biggest regret, because that's my mom's only sibling. Yeah. That's the only person she had.
Growing up.
Exactly.
And, like,
growing up.
Her blood and like it's like you like you said you had a sister too, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, imagine like God forbid or anything, right? I'm just saying, like, if you were to lose someone like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can.
And are you putting that on you? Like,
yeah, like I feel like if I lost my sister, like God forbid, if I lost her, like I don't even know how I could like go on with life. To be honest, like, even though like me and my sister, we don't have the best relationship, like, I can't imagine her not being there in my life. And like my mom at this age, she's like 30 something, and like at this point they grew up with each other. They know they're in each other's lives like for 30 something years, and like that, the fact that he's not there anymore, and the fact that I said no, I don't want to go to the funeral. Yeah, I would say that's my biggest regret, because I didn't have the opportunity to be there for my mom.
Well, from what I understand, I guess you feel that you didn't do your job, your role as a daughter, because you said no, you didn't want to go to Denmark and you didn't want to go to the funeral. But I do see you were young, right? And you did also have the consideration you wanted to be with your grandma. The fact that your sister was telling you to ignore the fact that people were coming over and it made you angry. I still see that you had, like, even in the anger, you had empathy. You still had sympathy because you wanted to help your grandma in that situation. And then the fact that you have this regret is because you wanted to be there for your mom. Is what I take from this, right? If I get it wrong, just let me know, right? I'm just trying to get a feeling of it. But I do see strength in your regret, only because usually regret comes from not doing something. You see something you missed, right? So you feel like you just missed an opportunity of you being there for your mom.
Exactly.
Do you think that affected your relationship with your mother right now, or
like I don't think she sees it as something bad I did, because I feel like she just thinks I was so young. So like I guess that wasn't a really big thing for her at the time. I guess like she has more things to focus on
at the time,
right? So I don't really think she really thought about it like that. And
but
okay. I do. But me and my mom, we have a really good relationship, and I'm really, really happy about that. Like I'm close to her. I talk to her. I talk about a lot of things. We're very close to each other, and even the fact that even after she came back from Denmark, I think this was like a year ago, I even like disclosed to her, like, you know, I really regret it. Like, I'm really sorry.
So you guys have talked about it. Okay.
Like, I'm really sorry that I didn't come.
And how did that conversation go?
She was. I feel like she was disappointed in a way that, like, I guess before she never thought about it. Like, she never thought about, my daughter didn't come, blah, blah, whatever. Until I mentioned it. And then she was like, I guess she felt a little disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like you put the idea in her head, and then she evaluated it and was like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
And did that make you feel a little worse?
Yeah, but then she wasn't mad. Like, she just mentioned, like, she...
Like, did she explain to you that it was okay?
Yeah, she said it was okay, and she said that, like, I was really young and, like, whatever, but then...
It's still something
yeah,
that's
it's
in
still
there.
something I regret. Like, I feel like at that moment, like, my mom really needed me to be there, and I wasn't there. And I love my family. I'm a very family-oriented person. Like, I love my parents, my grandma, my sister, and my
even
dog.
though you guys have a
a rocky relationship, like,
you'll still be there for them.
Yeah, I would 100%, like, anything.
Which I like see that as a great thing. Not everyone sees that, right? Even though people say I would be there for my family all the time and stuff, it's not usually a common thing. Some people say it to them, right? So like that's a very good thing. You should see strength in that. You should see you should be proud of that too. That you feel so connected to your family that you would do anything for them. So like considering all of this, right? How do I fit in? So like how, as in, what did you want from this to help you get over this regret? Like to eventually, evolve.
Yeah. I feel like talking about it, these things I don't really like talking about with people because I feel like I look so like childish considering the fact.
Do you feel vulnerable?
Yeah, like
okay.
Yeah, and like I feel kind of like for lack of better words, dumb. Like feel very dumb considering the fact that I chose to hang out with my cousins for a week instead of going to Denmark. I feel like saying that out loud makes me feel and sound like I'm so like
you're a child.
I'm a child, yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, you were a child at that age.
Yeah.
Well, but it does make sense, right? I guess you look back at it now, like. Did you feel like? Do you ever feel selfish?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel selfish?
Exactly.
Is that what it is? More selfish?
I felt so selfish. Like I looked at my needs and what I wanted instead of like focusing on my mom's needs and my grandma's and my dad's and like my uncle. Yeah. Right. Like selfish is a really good word to describe how
you acted towards a situation. Yeah. Okay, and like I just want to go back to the word you said, dumb. Yeah. Right. Do you want to replace that now with selfish? Maybe like
selfish, yeah.
Like instead of saying dumb and putting yourself down, that because like you said, you were 8 years old, right? And would have that been your first funeral? Yeah. Right. So okay. So in a sense, right? Like I do get it. You wanted to be there for your mom, right? But it was your first funeral. That's a big step. You know, it's like imagine seeing that for the first time, going to like you're going from talking to someone on the phone to them not being there anymore, right? So I wouldn't say dumb, right? We can always replace the word with selfish, but then we can slowly evolve that too, right? Like you said, it was your first funeral, so those are hard to face. Have you ever been to a funeral? No. Yeah. So like, and obviously they're not, like they're very emotional, a lot of, right? So like, think of it as 8-year-old you experiencing what you've gone through now with funerals, right? So I would say you saying no to going would probably be just you out of fear. Yeah. That could have been a thing too. But I understand where your regret's coming from, because you were very family-oriented, and you wanted to be there for your family, and it's just, like I said before, the regret, I would not take that as a weakness or a vulnerability, right? Like, you take it as a lesson, like, you see it as you recognizing that you did something, or you didn't do something that you wish you did. Exactly. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Or, like, the other way around, depending on situations, right? So the fact that you came here to talk about it, one, I would say that's a really big step as well. Like you said, you don't really talk about this kind of stuff to people, right? So that's a very big step, right? Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, you asked about strategies.
Yeah.
So yeah, like maybe some strategies to help me.
To help you cope with the regret. So how bad does a regret affect your life? Like when do you think you feel it the most, or when do you think it affects you the most? Like is it an everyday thing, or is it like
when I'm back home, or like when I'm with my grandma, like when I'm spending time with my grandma or spending time with my mom? I feel like that's when I kind of think of it.
like it's kind of like an elephant in the room.
Yeah.
For you,
For
at
me,
least.
yeah.
Because like you said, your mom, your grandma, they all understood.
Yeah.
Right? But for you, you still feel like it's an elephant in the room?
Yeah, completely.
Well, I would assume, they obviously seem to love you very much,
Yeah.
right? They don't hold this against you. There's no bad blood or anything.
Yeah.
But it is a big thing for you, which is totally understandable. I would say take how you guys are right now and think of it as you guys moving forward from that, right? So even though you weren't there for your mom back then, think of all the times you were there for your mom in the now, in the present, even after that situation, right? So look at it as just remember, like, even the littlest things, right? Like, your mom, is there any, like, achievements or something or anything like, that you were able to help your mom with? Like, was there anything that in her life where you were there for?
Yeah, like, she's studying to be a real estate agent, and she actually passed one of her exams.
Oh, that's so good.
Like,
okay.
I always, like, push her to study and do her best, and, like, I'm always there for her. Like, we even go to the library and study together.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I always...
See, and, like, and I'm assuming your mom's are around in her 40s at this age. So, studying at that age is probably so different from her.
It's very difficult.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, you just being there and being, like, being her support, being her backbone, showing her, like, you know, because obviously you study, right? Like, you do this every day at Waterloo, right? So you showing her showing her your world, you know, like being like, this is how you do it, this is what you can do. Just think of that as like that's like a step you're helping her, like better herself, right? People always have regrets in their life, right? It's a natural thing. It's human, right? I have regrets. You have regrets. Everyone has regrets. But once you learn to move forward, you know, it does get better, right? But I'm not saying it'll happen right away. But yeah, that's a perfect example, right? That's you being there for your mom. That's a great strength you show, right? Like you want to be there for her. You want to help her. You want to help her prosper, and you know, do the best she can, right? So I would say the best way for now is to think of the good times you guys had. Always remember that stuff happens, right? But as long as you guys move forward, and like I said, it doesn't seem like there's any bad blood in the house, right? So always remember that they all seem to love you very much, right? So there's just little things you have to remember. It'll be slow, it'll be gradual, but if you keep these in mind, and if you keep doing what you're doing now, slowly, the regret will just become kind of a memory. You know, just be like, it happened. You know, and we'll move forward. But yeah. So before we kind of end off, I just want to ask about another session. What were you thinking about, like how today went, or depending on like according to how today went, did you want to continue or did you want to? Yeah. And what's a good span for you? Like, what's a good time? Like a length after you want to see me after?
Like maybe like once in every 2 weeks.
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
Once in every 2 weeks. I feel like that's an appropriate time.
Okay. And before we leave, is there any other problem or anything else you want to discuss or get off your chest just before we end off things for the day?
I think I'm okay. Like, I told you everything that was on my chest, but thank you so much for listening to me and helping me.
And sorry, one more. If there's was there anything you didn't like in this session? Since this is your first session, right? Was there anything you didn't like or you weren't comfortable with? Because if there was, right, you can always let me know. Because we are trying to grow and stuff as well. And I'm trying to help you the best way to make you comfortable.
No, I know, yeah.
So, yeah, if there's anything uncomfortable or uncomforting, you can just let me know. And then we can work through it and we can figure it out. And then as sessions go on, you know, you can tell me then. But, yeah, if there's anything that bothers you, not now, right, but even in the future, you can always like, say, hey, I'm not really okay with this, right? Just so I know.
Yeah.
And, yeah, then we can continue.
Okay. I'll let you know if anything bothers
you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.